enough about those Joe Schmo sports. Let's talk about hockey.
Yes, please, because there's been way too much that's happened in the last week.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord.
Yeah, where do you want to? I guess we could just start with the biggest one, like
the one the Blackhawks are involved in. Get the cuck chair out.
That's. Wasn't there a third team on the Doncic trade too? Wasn't like the Jazz or something? Like they were.
Yeah, the Jazz played that role too. Get excited. The Bulls played it on the De'Aaron Fox one, dude. Chicago just loves playing third fiddle or second fiddle. Like it's just ridiculous. But yeah, break down the trade.
So you bring that up with Chicago being involved in the trade. I think it's Don't Be Sod. He's broken a few of the Hawks trades. Like I think he got the Jones trade, the Hagel trade. I think he got the Hall.
He's gotten every major Hawks move since probably the DeBrincat trade. Honestly,
yeah, like for the past few years, definitely he's broken all the big ones. I'm pretty sure, and he was like, "Oh, Taylor Hall is going to be traded, but there's bigger moves to happen." So I'm wondering when they got that information if they knew of the other trades that were happening, because holy shit, we all knew Taylor Hall was going to be moved, so that part wasn't surprising, but it just kept getting bigger and bigger. Like, oh, Taylor Hall is going to Carolina. Oh, well, nice. Taylor Hall gets to go play for contenders. Probably not much to it. And then just an absolute nuke bombshell drop that Mikko Rantanen has been traded to Carolina, and then Marty Necas is going back the other way to Colorado, and same with Jack Drury. And there was a lot of like, this trade had to have taken like 2 hours to fully sell itself out. I remember, I think it was Sarah Valley tweeted out like, "Oh, Kakaniemi is part of the trade package," and it wasn't. It was Jack Drury instead. So it took like I feel like it took almost 2 hours for the whole trade to work itself out till we got the finalization. And like as a side, before we really dig into it, I hate NHL insiders, bro. Like I hate how like we're gonna get into all the trades, but I remember the other day Darren Dreger was like, "Yeah, I heard about it this morning." Like, why even say that? Like, I'm tired of
carry water.
I believe this player is going to this team, and then it takes like 2-3 hours to unfold. Why can't an NHL insider just be like, "Oh, here's a trade, here's what's happening, like here's the draft picks, all players, all that stuff, like here's the conditions, here's any retentions." Like no NHL insider can do that. And like I'm looking at other sports too, like MLB is horrible for that. I don't know much about like NBA and the NFL. Like who's the NFL guy again? Isn't it Adam Schefter? I can't.
Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, Ari Miroff. Those are usually the four that break them.
And like I don't know, basketballs will be Shams now. It's not Wojbomb anymore. So
Woj pulls a Darren Dreger. I had it last morning.
Yeah.
Jokes on you.
Just I'm not gonna get it. Let's get in the trade, because like this gotta be one of the biggest in-season trades ever, really. Like we've seen some pretty big trades happen in the offseason. We all remember the 2016 offseason with Taylor Hall for Adam Larson, and then PK Subban for Shea Weber. Those are some huge trades, but I can't remember a trade happening like this in season, not in recent memory. 2 point per game players being traded for each other. Mikko Rantanen, like how many wingers would you take over Mikko Rantanen? I was thinking about this. It's probably 2 that can cut off the top of my head. I would maybe take Kucherov and Pasternak over Rantanen, but that's probably about it. Rantanen to me is that good. And like again,
are we counting Draisaitl as a center?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're right then.
Yeah. He's been
actually. I would take. I don't know. I feel like I'd take Mikko over Pasta, but we'll see.
Well, that's what I mean. Like that's how good he is. Like you could debate. Like you could argue he is the top winger. Actually, no, Kucherov is the best winger. But like
Kucherov's the best winger. It's
right there. And we're gonna talk about like the salary cap going up. And my first thought when I saw this trade happen, Colorado thinks they clearly cannot sign him. Mikko Rantanen, I doubt Carolina is going to sign him. I think they're going to try to, obviously, but Carolina just seems like a team that's like, oh, here's our number. If you don't want to take it, then like you're going to go. Mikko Rantanen's going to hit the market, and with the cap going up, like he might be the highest paid player in the NHL for a little bit, because I think it's going to be Draisaitl right now for $14 million once his extension kicks in, and then Rantanen could go to free agents and be like, I want at least that, and he could potentially get like 15, even $60 million, and I would do it. Like he's that good. He's a guy who has gotten 100+ points before. He scored 50 goals. I think he's on pace to do 100+ points again this year. Is a playoff performer. I was looking at, we always talk about Nathan MacKinnon as a great playoff performer, which he is. I mean, he won the Stanley Cup with him, but Mikko Rantanen has been, I think, better points or point per games wise.
Mikko had more points on the Cup run.
Mm-hmm. And the funniest thing is Cale Makar's better than both of them.
That's why he's wearing an A for Canada, baby.
Mm-hmm. But just an incredible player. Like Carolina, the biggest thing, their biggest problem, how over the past how many years since they've been a good team, since Rod Brind'Amour has taken over head coach, is like very great defensive structured team. Just like a very like volume heavy team, just get shots on net, and hopefully the pucks will go in, and that's worked for them in the regular season. They've been one of the more consistent teams in the regular season as like the past 5 or however many years, but once they get to the playoffs, they haven't won a game past the conference final. Like how many wins does it take to get to a Stanley Cup? How many wins does it take?
16.
I'm like Brad Pitt for Moneyball. Like when I call it, yeah, you got it. It's 8 wins. That's the most the Hurricanes have won in a playoff since their last Stanley Cup win in 2006. You got to get 60 wins. It's nice you win a round or 2 even, but you're just barely you're just halfway there. And they got Jake Gensel last year. I thought that would work. It didn't. And Eric Tulsi thought, well, if Jake Gensel doesn't work, then we're gonna have to get someone even better with Mikko Rantanen. And to me, I mean, like that's such a big name. Like no, apparently like there was a Pettersson. They were trying to work out a Pettersson deal. They were supposed to work out a JT Miller deal. I believe they wanted Pettersson last year, and then Eric Tulski's like, no, fuck it, we're gonna go get Mikko Rantanen. We're gonna sell high on Marty Necas. And we're going to get this kind of player. And in a sport that's so risk averse, as we always say, it's nice to see the nerds get into the game and make it a lot more fun by trading for Mikko Rantanen. Well, what are your thoughts on this trade? Because holy shit, like the biggest trade I can think of like mid-season was the Joe Thornton trade, and that happened almost 20 years ago. So
it's funny because if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have said, Colorado, what are you doing? Now I think I don't know. Like, we'll see. Because initially I was thinking, well, Carolina has to win this year, like you said, regardless. Because you can't have Gensel and Rantanen walk into the building and have them both walk. So you either need to win the cup or you need to extend Rantanen. The latter is probably more likely, but you also have to remember they have to lock up a lot of players down the line. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And hopefully Rantanen sticks and, finds that chemistry with Aho and all them. I mean, obviously Aho's been hurt since he's got there sick or something like that. I don't know. But
yeah, so I think the whole team was sick because Taylor Hall was sick when they were playing the Blackhawks.
It's all part of the plan. But they're in a situation right now where they have to win now. This has to work. And in Colorado's point of view, you can push back. This is where I disagree with it now, looking more into it. I'm pretty sure Marty Necas and Cale Makar are up the same year now. So if Necas goes off the way they think he's going to, you just got back in the same situation a year later where you're going to have to pay both your guys a lot of money. Unless I think Necas isn't that type of player, but if I'm him and I put up 100 points in Nathan MacKinnon, who's to say I'm not worth $11-12 million, which apparently is like, from what all the reports are saying, that's what Rantanen was offered. He was offered basically more than Panarin, which would make him the highest paid winger in the league. Obviously that market's going to shatter now with these salary cap expectations. He's going to get well over 13 now. He might get the 14 he was asking for from certain teams, but yeah, but that's besides the point.
More on that later.
Yeah. I think Colorado, it'll be interesting to see how it works out. I think Necas has played very well. I think him and MacKinnon, it's going to be just like him, MacKinnon, and Makar on the ice at the same time. There's so much speed. It's going to be a nightmare for teams to be able to keep up with. But it's another situation where this needs to work. Like, how many in-season trades can a team make and just decide that it's not their year? Like, yeah, they're still in a wild card hunt. I understand, but
Guess you're gonna have to play in the first round though, probably. Oilers.
as of right now, it says one. Oh yeah, it is an Oilers. Shoot, you're right.
I looked at it earlier, so I would know.
Yeah, well,
not fun either way, Winnipeg or Edmonton. So
I'd rather have Winnipeg. They dog walked them last year in the playoffs, but it's just another situation like we talked about. If they're healthy, they're probably going to be in each game, but at the same time, you can't trust their goaltending situation. That's always been their problem. That's always been their Achilles heel going back over a decade. And sorry, locking up Mackenzie Blackwood after 5 games is not going to solve the problem. Like, I don't know. This is going to be a trade that Colorado's probably going to win in the long run, but it's going to depend on if Rantanen extends. Because if Rantanen extends, Carolina won the trade. No ifs, ands, or buts. But if Rantanen walks and Colorado's got the remaining pieces of the trade, you can't, unless Carolina won a cup, there's no way you can look at it as if, Rantanen or the Colorado, won the trade, which I think they will at the end of the day. It's the harsh reality of the league. I think, like you said, Carolina's going to offer a number, and if he doesn't like that number, I think Carolina will look elsewhere unless they, their hands get tied and, Rantanen just develops crazy chemistry. But he's got 2 points in 4 games so far. We'll give it to the end of the year and see what happens.
1 goal against the Hawks.
All that matters is that he scores in the playoffs. He could literally not do fuck all, and if he has 4 game-winning goals in the playoffs, the trade's worth it. So those are my thoughts initially.
We wouldn't know anything about that as Blackhawks fans. But...
No, not at all. Never. Not even a couple overtime and third period game winners at that.
No.
Never even.
And you certainly didn't witness. Yeah, and certainly you didn't witness one of them live in person. Did you?
No, never. I never saw one in person where Victor Hedman and Ben Bishop ran into each other. I definitely did not see that game. That's so crazy.
But we're going to talk about the cap going up, but I can't help but think like they wanted to bring Rantanen back. He's been part of this team. Like they drafted him in 2015. He was with them when they had that horrible year in 16-17, and then fast forward 5 years later, wins the Stanley Cup with them. It's just I can't help but think with the cap going up, like they had to have known that this was going to happen or have some kind of intel on it because I would do everything in my power to re-sign Mikko Rantanen. I don't care if I have 3 guys making like $12.5 million plus. I mean, if they're that good, you got to pay them. And with cap going up the way it's supposed to, and even if you have those big contracts, they're just going to be a smaller percentage of the cap. So, Marty Necas has been a great fit for the Avalanche. Like, I don't think it's a total loss, but definitely from the end of Carolina and Eric Tulsky, to me, that's a risk worth taking. Necas only has 1 more year at $6.5 million, and it's very likely he probably would have gone to free agency anyways. So yeah, that's a risk I'm taking 100 times out of 100 for if I'm Eric Tulsky in Carolina. Kind of to your point earlier, so Marty Necas is up in 2026, and then Cale Makar's up in 2027. But yeah.
Okay, so they have another year off. Okay, they're fine. But also, I'd like to make another point. The NHL sucks. The NHL just sucks. Plain and simple.
What? We've never said that on this show before. That's a first.
The league stinks. Oh my God. You're telling me Mikko Rantanen's available and that's the best package they got? The GMs are not creative whatsoever. The fact that whatever. Vancouver should just be kicking themselves right now. I'm sorry.
Like, we want to get into that.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about the Hawks end of things because
they got a third for Taylor Hall, who was playing 4th line minutes. That's a win in itself. Yeah. Just move, and it's their third, so it's like 65.
So, you could just say that's awesome. The late second. Yeah,
that's awesome, and everyone's gonna look at it as just a plain third in a vacuum. But no, it's the Blackhawks' third. They're gonna be bottom 3. That's a very valuable pick. Guess who got picked around that range? Nick Lardis, 48 goals in 47 games. Yes, that pick is very valuable.
Yeah. Hell, even another Roman Canceroff pick. That'd be nice.
Yummy.
But also, I would
kids are
like
all
to
right.
see those draft picks used for, to get some players that are good now. But,
This
another
offseason
time
they
we'll
will.
talk about that.
Apparently they're in on like Anders Lee, which makes no sense, but whatever.
Bro, what the fuck?
5 minutes too late. Get excited.
Anders Lee, where the hell did you see this?
Tag Frana on NHL Network.
Oh, that's why. That makes sense. Okay.
On NHL Network too, so it's out in the vacuum. Or it's out in the, the realm. But no, they are looking to get a power forward apparently, which like anyone with a brain would have figured out, but that's just me. Can Ottawa lose 10 straight? Not going to happen. They're 28-20-4, but
regardless, the Seth Jones for Brady Tkachuk trade is going to happen. So get excited.
Seth is never getting traded. Actually, we talked about this. If this league is telling me anything, Seth Jones is tradable and he has value. Period.
Dude, are you fucking kidding me? Look at Dallas's right side. It's been a revolving door. Again, we'll talk about it later. Them getting Cody Ceci. Yeah. Are you telling me with the cap going up, they wouldn't trade for Seth Jones or any other team?
Kyle Davidson, you are in such a favorable situation if your prospects start prospering. Because Seth Jones will be able to get a value once you're able to trade him. And then just keep Murphy as the veteran and go from there.
He can be our Eric Johnson. That's fine.